Welcome to the Sky Therapeutics podcast. I'm your host, Tara Torres, a clinical nutritionist, researcher, educator, and consultant specializing in areas of weight loss, autoimmune disease, gastrointestinal disorders, metabolic syndrome, and other obesity-related conditions. I help clients improve their health through proper functional nutrition, professional-grade supplement protocols, exercise recommendations, education, and support using a personalized, evidence-based approach. At Sky Therapeutics, we offer functional nutrition solutions for chronic disease and help our clients develop sustainable lifestyle habits that will last a lifetime. As a friendly reminder, the information and opinions provided here today is to be taken as general information only, and you should always contact your personal physician or other qualified healthcare professional if you have any questions about your personal health and wellness. Welcome to our very first episode. Today is actually not a live recording. I decided to throw it back to my most recent interview with our personal trainer who we work very closely with. His name is John Waters, and he's actually the owner of Three Pillars Fitness, and we have brought him on board with Sky Therapeutics to partner with certain clients who are looking for that added lifestyle benefit, exercise recommendations, plans, videos. They meet with him weekly. And honestly, he's been a great addition, and we see a lot more results when combining our efforts together. So we've been playing around and doing various live videos, whether on Facebook or Instagram, Zoom, etc. And this is one of our recordings that we did, where we just talk about various lifestyle, exercise, and nutrition tips. In this particular episode, I do dive into a little bit of my journey and what it took to get control of my own weight and love my body again. And that was through addressing my underlying root conditions. I had several gastrointestinal and hormone imbalances. And so by addressing those imbalances and not focusing on weight, I was able to heal myself. And ironically, the weight did come off. So stay tuned if you're interested in listening to that. That's coming up next.
Hey, how's it going, everyone? Hope you're having a great day. I know it's Thursday and this live is completely unannounced, but I don't know if you've noticed the last couple months, every now and then, and it almost seems extremely random, Tara and I link up to go live and drop some information on you all. So Tara, go ahead and say hi to the people.
Hello, I'm Tara. I'm a clinical nutritionist. I work in Houston, Texas, and John and I have been teaming up to work on plans together for our clients and do these fun videos.
Yeah. So really quickly, I just want to give everyone the warning that if you see me looking to my left or looking to my right, I'm not ignoring you all. However, this has been a really long time since I've used this particular program. So I'm just bouncing back and forth, trying to make sure we stay on track. So bear with me because this first one might be a little rough. All right, but today I kind of want to spend some time, we want to spend some time talking about owning your fitness journey. And I know personally, a lot of times when people come to me, they already come with all these ideas about where they should be. And some of them already come with the idea that they won't be able to reach their goal because they may be starting late, or, they're comparing themselves to so-and-so, like, oh, I can't wait to be in shape like so-and-so. And today I just really wanted to focus and hammer down on the idea that it's all you. And it's okay to be where you are, and it's okay to have your own destination. All right, so to go ahead and get started with that, let's talk about the idea of one size fitting all. All right, so not to imply that one size does fit all, but when I go to the barber shop and I get a fade, my fade doesn't come out looking like the man next to me, right? It's going to look different because the size of my head is different, the size of his head is different. And similarly, when we're talking about working out and exercise selection, yes, we all have access to the same tools. However, the way we're going to apply them is going to look a little bit differently, right? So for instance, me being myself versus you who may or may not work out, I may go into the gym and warm up with something that may be your max weight, and that's completely okay. I may go to the gym with the idea that I'm going to go and I'm training to run, and you may see me running and think, oh, well, if John's running, I should be running. That's not the case, right? Because you have your own goals. I'm pretty sure it's not just, appearing in the fitness side of things as far as exercising, but as far as nutrition, how often is it that you hear people come with you with the idea that, hey, so-and-so is doing it. It sounds like a really good idea. I want to do that too.
All the time. I mean, there's all these diets out there that claim they are the best diet out there across the board for weight loss, this, that, and the other thing. But really, what we need to understand is that it really is a customized approach to people. We're all different. We all have different hormones. We all have different gut health. We all have different levels of stress. And that's all going to impact how we approach nutrition and dieting.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. And so I kind of like this first question because I think it leads pretty easily into the second thing when we talk about not comparing. And I know I mentioned earlier the idea of meeting with someone who, generally speaking, sees someone else doing it and they say, oh, I want to do that too. And then along the way, as they're progressing through their weight loss program or their strength and conditioning program, they may notice that when they meet up to talk with Susan and they look at Susan, Susan's already dropped 10 pounds. She's only been doing this for 2 weeks and you're struggling to get your 3 pounds down. And now you may be feeling some type of way, maybe that this isn't right for you, or maybe, you're just not capable of doing this. And I know I can't be the only one that's heard this saying before, but comparison is a thief of joy, right? I really do like to run with the mindset when it comes to my clients that the overall idea is to do this for you. When you show up, it really is you versus you. But in a better sense, it's you showing up for you, right? And anytime we take the spotlight off of ourselves and we start to focus on other people, it's really easy to get thrown off track and to start to feel like the efforts that we're putting in are ineffective. How often do you see something like this arrive in nutrition? Because I know for my clients personally, sometimes they get under their skin, to say the least.
Yeah, and I work with quite a few couples, and a lot of times my women will complain because their husband will do the exact same program as them, and they're down 8 to 10 pounds, and they've only dropped a couple of pounds. But we have to understand that we're metabolically very different from men. Men have a lot more lean muscle mass, and we have a lot more fat mass, and we're allowed to have a lot more fat mass because we have a lot more hormonally driven components to our health. And we also need to understand, again, going back to that customized approach, that hormonal balance can look very different woman to woman. And so you need to understand that your journey is very much your own. And I love what you said about you comparing yourself to only yourself and your past and achieving those goals and hitting those marks, whether it's diet or exercise.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. And so before we move past this, I did also write in my notes the idea that people are chasing, popular images. They may go through their Facebook feed or they may go through their Instagram, wherever they spend their social media time. They scroll through and I guarantee they see someone that's, ridiculously shredded, almost beyond what may seem achievable for the average person. And I know that can be disheartening. And I know a lot of the time, especially with this influencer type society we live in, everyone that has these amazing physiques, they usually say, hey, follow this program to get this, or hey, I only ate freaking egg whites for 16 weeks and I look shredded. There's something ridiculous that usually follows. And I know it's very enticing for people to want to jump on the fad train. What are some, general things that we can do to watch these things with a more informed filter as we're taking in this information? And then what are some practical things we can do that are very simple to start moving towards our fitness goals when we're talking about weight loss specifically?
I think we have to stop looking at the weight on the scale. I think we're so much more than just that number, and that number can mean a lot of things. Like, it doesn't tell you how much lean mass you have, it doesn't tell you how much fat mass you have. You need a body composition analysis to really understand that. The way our clothes fit tell us a lot. The way we feel is what I really like to emphasize. To me, as a woman, as a mom, as a woman in her mid 30s, it's taken me a long, long time. And I have a history of bodybuilding. I used to step on the stage. I've been on the stage in a bikini. I've done the bodybuilding and I've chased after what for me is an unattainable body look. And when I realized that I had these underlying health conditions and I started focusing on addressing my hormones, addressing my stress, and addressing my gut, and I started focusing on my mental health and my overall just feeling good, feeling rested, feeling energized, getting rid of the brain fog, getting rid of the fatigue, the body image became less important to me. I started to not care about what that looked like. And the irony of all of that is that by addressing all of those other things, mental health, hormones, gut, everything, the weight came off. and I actually do love my who I am and how my body is and in my skin, you know what I mean? And that's what I really try to focus on with my clients is how do you feel? What are your bowel movements like? How are you sleeping? What's your stress level like? Like, let's not focus on how way the clothes are fitting or what you're seeing in the mirror. Are you hitting those PRs in the gym? Like that to me speaks more about your health. Like, are you increasing your weights and are you recovering or are you sore and totally fatigued and gassed for the next couple of days after a couple of workouts? If that's the case, we need to address that because you're never going to move forward if that's the case.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. And a lot of the times, at least from my experience, when I am scrolling through and I see all these great recommendations, they usually don't come with the caveat of, what they used to say at the bottom of the TV, something along the lines of like, not all results are guaranteed or something like that. It just looks really good, but your results may vary, right? Um, there was something else I wanted to talk about, but let's go ahead and move on and talk about that moving goalpost because I think you left off at the right part for this one. And so when we're talking about, establishing our goals, whether it's nutrition or in the gym, I know ideally when someone comes to me, if they're not quite ready to come to the gym and actually start getting into something that's kind of intense or moving further along down that, I usually make the recommendation to start with something small. They usually ask me, oh, I want to, get more active. I want to do this. And here recently, one of the things I've been leaning on is the smartwatch. I mean, watches are great. They track everything for you, right? And so,
Mhm.
hey, if you have move goals, let's start with that. What are you doing every day? I mean, it could be something so simple and so small that you're already going to do anyways. And now you're just going to do a little bit extra. And now you're just going to purpose. I think that's probably the key part. You're doing these things on purpose. And then moving past that, once they decide that, hey, I am seeing a little bit of improvement, my cardio is able to go up, and they're already able to see wonders, just all change, and they come back to me, now we can have a different conversation and talk about, that goalpost has moved. Now that baseline has been established. Now we can say, all right, well, now we can do some body weight exercises or whatever their particular goals are. We can start moving further down that tunnel. I know a lot of the times, especially when it comes to personal training, a lot of people get the idea that we're only here to make a dollar, but in real life, we're here to make a difference. And that may mean that I don't work with you at the beginning. Maybe that's far off in the future, but I don't mind giving you those tips along the way to get you prepared. But in your experience, how important is it to start with the idea that I'm here today, but this is not where I will be tomorrow, and these are the small things I can do along the way to get there?
Yes. I mean, I think that achieving these small goals, I mean, when you achieve multiple small goals, the compounding effect is going to be huge. It's going to be much bigger. And so some people can be really overwhelmed when they think about their weight loss journey and they're like, oh my gosh, I need to start exercising high intensity. I need to do cardio. I need to work out every day for this many minutes. I need to not eat this. I can only eat this. I have to drink this much water. I'm not allowed to have alcohol. I'm not allowed to have coffee or my Starbucks with tons and tons of sugar. And it's like, slow down. Don't bite off more than you can chew, pun intended. But sometimes it's just as simple as taking a multivitamin every morning. You like that one habit is going to have a compounding effect in all the other habits throughout the rest of the day. And then maybe the next week we focus on hitting your water intake. Maybe the next week we focus on hitting more of the protein. Maybe the next week, instead of focusing on not having carbs, we focus on the type of carb. You know what I mean? It's all how you present the information. And we also need to remember this is not a race. Like, slow and steady is how we win here. And the recommended weight loss is only 1 to 2 pounds per week. That's 4 to 8 pounds per month. And then if you're doing things appropriately, that should be, that should happen.
Right. You said a whole lot with those words, and yeah, at least from my experience, it is common to see people start a weight loss journey or start a fitness program, and I see them on Facebook, and they're hitting it hard every day, for 2 weeks in a row. And the next thing you know, they have some type of injury and they're sidelined, or they may be on Facebook and really excited about some brand new, I don't know, diet they're about to try, and they're like, "Oh man, I've lost freaking 10 pounds, and it's been 2 weeks," and then you turn around 2 months later and they probably got that back plus a few. Um, and that could be for a number of things, right? Not here to judge anyone. We don't know anyone's, situation. But more often than not, I'm almost willing to guarantee it's because they bit off too much too soon and they became too overwhelmed because just off of the things you were just saying, I could see from an outside perspective how a person could be creating their own mental prison. Because now you're saying, I'm not going to do all these things, and I'm only going to do this. And yesterday you were sitting on the couch eating donuts. You know what I mean? Like, this is a whole different big shift that you may or may not have been prepared for. And I definitely don't think you do yourself any favors when you try to just jump into the water without seeing how warm it is first. What are your thoughts?
Well, yes, and I don't want to come off as like I'm trying to poo-poo on the people who are like the rip the band-aid off and go all in, because that does work well for certain types of people. But in the interest of those people who are looking for more sustainability, you and I are in the business of building healthy lifestyle habits that last until we're into our old age and then some. Like, I want to see my people. I always tell my people, like, when you're coming in for our consults, like, it's an educational like meeting. Like, I want you to walk away every single visit having learned something new about nutrition and lifestyle that you can apply to not only your life, but pass on to those around you, whether it's your spouse, your children, your grandchildren. Like, be the example, and let's all learn and teach and help each other build sustainable, healthy habits through diet and lifestyle, working out, those types of things.
Right. Um, and there's always this critical moment, especially when I'm working out with some. There's always this critical moment that comes up, and we may be lifting heavy on this particular day, and I'm like, "Hey, man, how you feeling?" And they'll respond like, "Oh, I'm feeling great," and I can tell by looking at their form how much they are or aren't feeling on par to do this next set at the same intensity. And sometimes I may have the itch to want to go up, but I recognize where they are, and so I say, "Hey, we should stay here." And then their response is, "Oh no, man, let's go up." And then I usually follow up with something along the lines of, "It would be great, and you probably could do this a few times, but then you may mess around and get injured." And we got to remember, we're not trying to just live for today. We're here to learn the habits and things we need to live for a lifetime. And I really do like what you said earlier about it not being a race. I like to tell people it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And so approaching even not just fitness, but life in general with my goals and the way I set them, I personally take that marathon approach. And I did steal that from this rapper named Nipsey Hussle. After that was completely his, but I just really loved it and I thought it was genius.
Yeah, and I think in a way I do that with diet and like my nutrition advice, because I'll always present to you the information in black and white. Like, the here is what the text recommends for somebody with your condition or your goals in mind. But at the end of the day, we want to meet you where you are. A lot of times I'll prescribe like a low FODMAP diet for certain conditions, just an example here, but it's a very intense and restrictive diet. And so at the end of the day, of giving somebody, avocado is a high FODMAP in certain amounts. And for some people, at the end of the day, if that's the one thing that they can have that gives them joy in their life and gets them to stick to this plan, I'm okay with that, right? And we just kind of monitor that, and we move our goals and we adjust them and we customize them based off of each person's needs.
Right. All right. So, yeah, I think everything we said pretty much on point and on target with the idea of owning your journey, right? And making sure that it is directed and created and instructed by you and where you ultimately want to go. Um, because again, I just think there's so much noise out here. There's so much noise on what you should be doing. There's so much noise on the best waist trainer, the best exercise machine, the best freaking new drink. There's just so much out there. And most of the times we don't need the most, we just need the most basic. And I think
Yeah.
it's extremely overlooked.
What works well for one person may not work well for another person, and that's totally fine.
Yeah. All right, so I think that's everything. But before we get out of here, I do want to ask you if you have any final thoughts for everyone when they're considering starting their journey.
Yeah, don't wait until Monday. Don't wait until next week. Don't wait until the following. I mean, to an extent, right? Like, if you know you have a big work trip coming up or a big vacation, you don't want to jump onto a major change that's not going to be sustainable while you're doing that. But a lot of times, the start of the school year, it's like a lot of people, family, parents will wait until that school year. And then, 2 weeks into the school year, 4 weeks into the school year, 6 weeks, so on. Next thing you know, Thanksgiving's around the corner, and then it's Christmas. And it's like, why wait? It could be a Wednesday, it could be a Thursday, it could be breakfast, it could be lunch or dinner. Like, small changes add up, right? We just talked about that. So, just tweaking some of these things over a period of time could be enough.
All
Don't
right.
wait.
Definitely, definitely. Yeah, you said it all. I mean, everything I would say after that would just be repeated. So,
Okay, good.
yeah,
Well, thank you for having me on here, and I'm looking forward to the next time. If anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out. We're happy to answer where we can.
sure. All right, again, everyone, thanks for joining us. If you're catching this on the replay, drop down in the comments and write hashtag replay. And feel free to respond to myself or Tara with your questions. Um, Either way, as long as you're getting the help you need, we're both happy. And that's
Yeah.
all. So, as always, keep pushing because your greatness awaits.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Sky Therapeutics podcast with your host, that's me, Tara Torres. If you enjoyed today's podcast, be sure to check out any bonus info and links in the show notes. You can visit us at www.skytherapeutic.com or find us on social media because we love connecting with our audience. Until next time, be well.